Hey guys, it is Kevin here in Japan. On my way home, I'm having a beverage, having a can of beer. Nice cold can of beer on a cold evening, so my hand is freezing. I need my beer drinking gloves. So I was just listening to a podcast, CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. That's like Canada's public broadcaster, equivalent of like BBC in England or ABC in Australia, or NPR, is that it? NPR in America? Public broadcaster. I was listening to an old episode of The Current, talking about foodies and kind of foodie movement and the adventurous eating movement. And this woman was talking about how she was in Korea eating jlandkev, which is like the live octopus, and extreme food and all that jazz. And I was thinking, like you guys probably know, or maybe you don't, but if you've been following me for a while, I used to live in Korea. I lived in Korea for 5 years. But when I lived in Korea, I was not an adventurous eater at all. I was a pussy, man. I was a wuss. I was a picky eater. I grew up a picky eater, much to the chagrin of my parents. My mom will still share stories about that even today, about, how picky I was. And now I have a son who's a picky eater, so, ain't karma a bitch, huh? So I gave my mom and dad a hard time because I was a picky eater, and now I understand what it's like because I got a kid who's a picky eater. Karma, huh? But yeah, so I was pretty picky and not adventurous. And for most of the time I was living in Korea, there was no YouTube, so I didn't have a reason to try to attempt to be adventurous. But I met my wife in Korea, who is Japanese. So I met my Japanese wife in Korea. We got married, and man, she'll eat anything. She's an adventurous eater. I don't even think she considers it adventurous. She'll just eat anything pretty much, and not picky at all. So one of the big stumbling blocks for me was always fish, seafood. Even to this day, I'll admit I'm not a big fan of seafood. But because my wife is Japanese, she prepares quite a bit of seafood. And she knows I'm not a big fan of it, but she prepares it anyway because she likes it. And my son, who was the picky eater, but he loves seafood, loves fish. So I eat seafood. Pretty much like everything for the most part. The only things I've discovered that I really don't like are eel, unagi. That's what they call it, or unago, here in Japan. I don't like eel, and I don't like iwashi, sardines. I don't like sardines. Yeah, so I don't like those two. But yeah, so thinking about adventurous eating. Many years ago, 2002, I did go to China by myself for 4 days, and then some friends came and met up with me, and then we hung out for another 5 days or 4 days, something like that, about a week. And I did go through a market in Beijing, and I ate some deep fried scorpion on a stick. Now they were dead, and from my memory, pretty much just tasted kind of like oil. I guess the oil was cooked in. They were small scorpions. There was like 3 of them on a stick. And yeah, that was probably the wildest thing I've eaten. When I was in Korea, I never tried dog. I never ate dog. Dog is food. In some cultures, people eat dogs, but just the way that they're in Korea, that they're treated while they're in captivity is pretty horrible, and like the dog farms, and then the way that they're prepared is really horrible in my opinion. Yeah, but that's a whole other topic I don't want to get into. But I've never tried dog, never had that, and I never had jlandkev, the live octopus, which I regret because I really want to try live octopus now. When it's like, well, it's not alive. They actually like chop up the tentacles, but the tentacles are moving and wiggling and wriggling. I really want to try that now. So since I've married a Japanese woman and have been living in Japan for several years, I'm way more open-minded with food. And since I'm a big YouTuber now, well, not a big YouTuber, but I'm big into YouTube, I'm much more excited about, I want to try things for videos to show you guys. So I'm willing to torture myself for you guys. Or try new things for you guys. Let's put it in a better way. Yeah, so what is something adventurous that you have eaten? What is something weird or gross or just freaking crazy off the rockers, just wacky that you've tried, you've eaten or drank in the past? Let me know. Leave a comment below. I want to know. Alright guys, thanks for checking out a video on the jlandkev channel. Laters.